7 minutes. That's all it took for Tiffany Henyard to be out as the Democratic nominee for Thornton Township Supervisor, and she left here visibly upset.
New drama tonight involving a controversial politician in the south suburbs. Tiffany Henyard was the only Thornton Township leader to show up for a scheduled.
The drama surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dalton, Illinois, seems to have reached new heights, with allegations of misusing public funds, accusations of voter suppression, heated public meetings, and even eviction. Henyard has kept the spotlight on herself, whether seen as a determined leader battling adversity or as a controversial figure whose unchecked ambition is causing turmoil. One thing is certain: she refuses to back down, and her critics are equally relentless.
I guess anything else? I get sued all the time. Y'all stop.
Then, let's begin with the latest shocker. Mayor Henyard's blatant defiance of a judge's orders and her open declaration that she has no regard for the legal or procedural challenges she's up against. This comes from a mayor who, despite a string of scandals, has managed to hold on to her position and announced she's running for re-election. Yes, she's doubling down, and her unshakable confidence, or perhaps sheer audacity, has left many in the community shocked. But what's fueling this chaos? Let's take a closer look.
Last month, the judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making those appointments without approval from.
Henyard's troubles took a turn for the worse earlier this month when she was denied a spot on the ballot for the upcoming Thornton Township Supervisor election. The reason? Her slate of candidates was incomplete, as she didn't have a certified assessor on her ticket, an essential requirement for anyone running for the position. Predictably, Henyard didn't take the news well. During the caucus, she accused her political rivals, including Illinois State Senator Napoleon Harris, of rigging the process against her. In a fiery outburst, she called the entire process illegal and vowed to sue everyone involved. "You didn't run any of this the right way," she shouted, directing her anger at Harris, who also serves as the Democratic Party committeeman for Thornton Township. Harris, however, rejected Henyard's accusations, insisting that the caucus process was entirely legal. He explained that while caucuses may be unfamiliar to some in Thornton Township due to their rare use, they have long been a tradition in other townships across the state. Critics, however, argue that Henyard's deliberately chose the caucus system instead of a primary election to block Henyard's re-election bid. Henyard, for her part, views the situation differently, suggesting that if her opponents truly believed they could defeat her, they would have gone for a primary instead. She decries the process, calling it unfair and exclusionary. Son,
one thing to win, but let's do it properly and let the people really have a voice. The people's voice was taken.
The caucus, held at the Homewood Flossmoor Park District Auditorium, was chaotic, with only 600 seats available. Many of Henyard's supporters, including those who arrived late on township buses, were left outside in freezing temperatures. Henyard claims this was a deliberate attempt to suppress her voters, alleging that attendees were allowed in slowly, while many waited in a long line that stretched around the block. After her loss, she expressed her frustration at a rally, detailing the harsh conditions her supporters face. Henyard's boyfriend, K.L. Woods, also voiced his anger, accusing a local reporter of misrepresenting the events and challenging her to report the truth. A judge declined to hold Henyard in contempt of court, but warned her that failure to follow the ruling would result in consequences. Meanwhile, Harris and his team quickly rejected these claims. His attorney, Burton Delson, maintained that the process was fair and adhered to the rules. "This process has been in place long before me," Delson said. "I'm just fulfilling my role as committeeman to organize a caucus." He also noted that the caucus rules were made available in advance, though Henyard's camp disputes this. Despite her loss, Henyard isn't backing down. She's already stated her intention to run as a right-wing candidate, with her supporters believing she still has a chance. "I think enough people know her name to write it in, and we could still win," said Keith Price, one of Henyard's allies. However, with her name off the Democratic ballot for the first time in decades, it's clear she faces an uphill battle.
A Dalton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now she...
Henyard's legal troubles extend beyond the Thornton Township caucus. She is also caught up in a messy eviction dispute with her landlord, who claims Henyard and her partner, K.L. Woods, have not paid rent for months. According to the landlord, Henyard owes thousands in unpaid rent and even changed the locks to prevent access to the property. The landlord, once a friend of Henyard, has now filed eviction papers, although attempts to serve them have been unsuccessful. As mayor, you'd expect them to uphold positive citizen standards, the landlord said. But instead, they act like they can do whatever they want. But the workers were losing interest, of course, and their work now needed a little help anyway. This eviction issue is just one of many scandals overshadowing Henyard's time in office. Earlier this year, the FBI launched an investigation into her administration, focusing on allegations of extravagant spending and misuse of public funds. Reports indicate Henyard has spent tens of thousands of public dollars on questionable expenses, including luxury travel, lavish dinners, and even a concert that cost over $85,000. One particularly startling revelation is that Henyard reportedly spent more than $43,000 on Amazon purchases in a single day.
What do you do tonight if you don't get the Democratic Party's nomination?
What do you mean? I will be victorious tonight. You will see. My people are here. They're not going to go no.
Critics have raised concerns about Henyard's leadership style, describing her as abrasive and dismissive toward her colleagues. At a recent village board meeting, she boldly declared, "I'm the leader. They want to hear from the mayor, not the trustees who don't do anything." Her fiery rhetoric has only deepened the rift with the village government, with trustees openly challenging her authority and accusing her of mismanagement. "I feel like I'm in a dictatorship," said trustee Brittany Norwood, one of Henyard's most vocal critics. The way she talks to the trustees, it feels like being in a mentally abusive relationship. What's even more concerning is Henyard's apparent disregard for the long-term consequences of her decisions. By appointing unqualified individuals, such as Burge, she's not only jeopardizing the effectiveness of the Dalton Police Department, but also exposing the town to potential legal liabilities. Imagine a scenario where the department mishandles a critical situation due to a lack of qualified leadership. The fallout from such an incident could be catastrophic, not just for Henyard's administration, but for the residents of Dalton, who are already struggling with high crime rates and financial instability.
You are a clown. We will continue to speak out against wrongdoing. Why won't you step down?
This pattern of controversial appointments goes beyond just Bird. Critics have pointed out that Henyard frequently selects individuals with questionable backgrounds or close personal ties, raising concerns about nepotism and favoritism. For example, former police chief Lewis Lacey, another of Henyard's appointees, was recently indicted on charges of bankruptcy fraud. Lacey's financial misconduct and his connections to Henyard have only fueled the controversy, with some accusing her of surrounding herself with loyalists who prioritize allegiance to her over their responsibilities to the public. These decisions have left many residents wondering whether Henyard is truly working in the town's best interest, or simply consolidating power. Despite mounting criticism, Henyard remains defiant, positioning herself as a victim of political attacks. "Why is all this attention on Tiffany Henyard?" she asked during a recent Facebook Live session. "What are they doing that they don't want us to know about, while they're distracting us over here?" She's even suggested launching a podcast to share her side of the story, though no details have been released. Personal rivalry between the two was nothing to despise, but dear Laura, who had weighed in on the drama, one commenter referenced the ongoing investigations into her financial dealings, saying they thought she was going to prison for stealing millions. Another expressed frustration with her leadership, writing, "Tiff has mental problems and needs to check. She is very unstable. Lord, please get her out of that seat and stop giving her control." These comments reflect the deep divide within the community over Henyard's tenure.
All this point the finger to Tiffany or allow me, I'm over it. Now it's time for me.
Let's not overlook the appointment of Ronald Burge as Dalton's interim police chief, a decision that has only deepened the turmoil. Burge, whose law enforcement certification is inactive, was appointed by Henyard despite warnings from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board. The board has stated that Burge cannot serve in any law enforcement capacity until he completes requalification, yet Henyard has stood by her decision. In response, trustees have filed legal challenges to block Burge's appointment, calling it unlawful and a clear disregard for proper governance. Henyard has dismissed the criticism, calling it a politically motivated effort to undermine her leadership and tarnish her reputation. However, during a recent meeting, critics argued that her choice to appoint an unqualified police chief highlights a broader pattern of prioritizing loyalty over competence. One trustee raised concerns about Burge's inability to carry a firearm and questioned his ability to lead an entire police department. This sentiment is shared by many residents as the town faces yet another leadership crisis, with legal battles mounting, an ongoing FBI investigation, and public frustration growing. As both mayor and potential township supervisor, Henyard's future appears increasingly uncertain. Despite these mounting challenges, she remains resolute. At a recent rally, she expressed confidence in her support, claiming that her widespread popularity in Thornton Township is what drives her to persevere.
A Cook County court has reversed some of Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's decisions. At last night's village board meeting, Henyard announced a 30-day temporary appointment.
Is Tiffany Henyard a misunderstood leader battling a corrupt system, or is she a politician whose unchecked ambition has led her astray with every new twist in this saga? Dalton residents, and the rest of us, are left wondering what comes next. Will Henyard's resilience carry her through, or will the weight of her controversies finally take her down? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, stay tuned for more updates on this unfolding story.